so thankful that you love us and you've displayed it in amazing ways through your Son and through the life that you have given to us, Lord. You've worked in our lives to reveal yourself to us, bring us to you, that we might spend eternity with you, Lord. And Father, give us opportunities daily and the courage to step out and take advantage of those, to share you with others. And we entrust the rest of this morning into your care and pray that your Spirit will continue to lead. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, there's a few more of you here now, so I'll say what I said earlier. We're going to talk about mothers today. And when I talk about mothers, I'm talking about spiritual mothers. Perhaps those might even be single. They've stepped into somebody's life. They've been a mother to them. And talking about biological mothers. And perhaps those that have adopted children and become a mother that way, or foster mothers. So we're looking at it that way because they're all functioning in that way. God has given them a mother's heart to love little ones. And so, as we think about this today, we should remember that mothers are a gift from God. Truly one of His best. And B gave me a little note here, right after the sharing. And this is something that God put on her heart. And He shared something like this with me yesterday. And this is the note from B, from God through B. It says, God gave you, mothers, God gave you your children. And whatever they need, you got it. That is why He gave them to you. Now, believe that. That's why He gave them to you. Now, I looked at it from a little different perspective. I was looking at it from the children's perspective. And sometimes we think, well, I'm not sure I got the right mother. Or how did she wind up as my mother? And some of us have been that way. I know Joe was expressing a little of that him and Mom went through some times of butting heads. And I experienced that with my mom, too, as a young kid. I remember I was always mad at her because she was always straightening me out. And she was always disciplining me. And maybe you got raised in a house that way, too. My dad didn't do the spanking. He didn't have to. He scared me, so I usually mellowed out. He was a big guy, about 6'5". And so as a little kid, Dad just looked at me and I straightened up. But Mom, she was 5'2", so, but she was the one that dished out the discipline. And it seemed like she would always have a bad report about me when Dad got home. And I knew she was doing it, so I'd be upset with her. So I remember I used to do, things like one day she was in the closet doing something. And I closed the door and I locked her in the closet. And I left her in there most of the afternoon. And I said, how you doing in there, Mom? You let me out of that closet, I'll show you how I'm doing, kind of thing. But that was Mom. Did I love her? Yeah. Was I mad at her most of the time? Yeah. But that's part of the task of being a mom, isn't it? Moms go through stuff like that. So I thought about that, and I thought about this. God made men and He made women. Now, He didn't have to do it that way. He could have come up with a different way, but He made men and women, and you guys agree that you're very different, right? Not just physically, but you're just different. You're different in ways you probably don't even know. I know my wife and I, we're so different. Whenever we're approaching anything, she comes at it from this direction and I come at it from this direction. And we're both shaking our heads and we can't figure out how the other person is seeing it that way when we're seeing it another way, totally different. And so as we talk, we kind of work our way to the middle. But we're all unique, and God has made us that way because God is so huge. I believe that He chose to reveal Himself, His nature, His traits, His heart, through a man and a woman, because just a man alone would not do it. And I believe He reveals Himself in unique ways through the man and the woman. And in the examples that God gives in Scripture, even, He declared Himself to be like a mother hen trying to bring the chicks under His wing. And notice He picked a mother hen. And then as He was speaking through the Apostle Paul, He said, I was with you, as he's writing to one of the churches, he says, I was with you as a nursing mother would be with their newborn baby. And so God expressing Himself that way as a nursing mother. And so He uses both sexes to reveal His greatness, His awesomeness, His beauty, His majesty. So, wives, you're not an afterthought. You're in God's heart, God's mind, from the very, very beginning. As I thought about mothers, I thought about many of the teachings that we got when we were young kids. And that's where much of a mother's teaching happens. When their children are young. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't go on until they're old. But it happens most of the time, or a lot of it, when they're young. And we learn many lessons. And some of the things we maybe heard from Mom, and it wasn't like she was reading out of the Scriptures when she said them, but we find out later in life, perhaps, that that was scriptural. She just worded it differently. As I thought about that, these are some of the things that maybe you can remember. I think moms lay a moral foundation. They lay a moral foundation, I believe, at times for our conscience. They try to make us aware of things that we should be aware of that we wouldn't be if they didn't intervene in our lives. Think about this. Did you ever have a time where you were inconsiderate and Mom heard it? And Mom stepped in and she said something like this: how would you like it if someone was to do that to you? She just took you and looked you right in the eye. How would you like it? I'm just curious. Anybody have anything like that said to them in their life? How would you like it if somebody did that to you? And sure enough, Scripture, it tells us, do unto others as we would have them do unto us. And so, Mom may not have read that in the Bible, but she had wisdom from above. And then they would say other things like, you know, if you lie, your nose is going to grow. That's kind of like what Juan was saying earlier, you know. And so as a little kid, you really believed it. I remember looking in the mirror and wondering, you know, has my nose grown since I told that lie? So they have those pearls of wisdom that they drop on us. And I remember my mom used to tell my son when he was just a little guy, when she was caring for him, babysitting, she would say, you know, son, you've got a good angel on one shoulder and you've got a bad angel on the other shoulder, so who are you going to listen to? The good angel or the bad angel? You know, when he was 14 years old, that's when he came to Christ at 14, I asked him about accepting the Lord. You know, we had told him the gospel, both me and my mom. And he said, I said, when did this start working in your heart where you accepted the Lord. He says, I remember what Grandma said about the good angel on one shoulder and the bad angel on the other shoulder, you know. And you say, well, that's not biblical. Well, we know in 1 John 4, it talks about two spirits. You know, there's a spirit of Antichrist, and we know that there's the Holy Spirit. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, it says there's a spirit of truth and a spirit of error. And so we do have communication from both sides. And we do have a choice to make. Now, it's not that she sat down and gave him an exposition on the new covenant, but she was speaking something that was from God, that he would understand. And when the word is spoken that way, in spirit, it's life. It can pierce someone. And God can bring conviction, eventually godly sorrow. How many of you ever had Mom talk to you about having bad company? The people you're hanging around, you know, you should be wiser in the friends that you're picking up. And here's another thing I found out. I think mothers had enhanced hearing when they needed to hear it. I don't know how that happens, but just gave them bigger ears or enhanced hearing or something. But I can remember playing at the park, and we lived across the street from the park, but the park is big over at Gloucester Park. And I remember coming in from playing, and she says something like, and she may not have used these words, but something like, you big dummy. Don't you see what your friends are doing? They're always trying to get you in fights. They're trying to, and there you go. They tell you something, and you just like a dummy, you're going out there and doing it. Anybody ever have that happen to them? Yeah. And you know, they pick up traits that they recognize in us, and they can just nail it. And sometimes, Mom may not, my mom graduated from the 6th grade. That's as far as she went. But I remember when I was on my quest to seek truth, I picked up a book, Science of the Mind. I began to read this book, and I read through it, and I had all these ideas, and so I went to Mom, and I started telling her about it, you know, and she just looked at me and says, no, son, that's a bad mistake. Stay away from that stuff. I mean, she knew. See, because the wisdom from above isn't given to those that necessarily have a doctorate in theology. It's given to people that have a simple, loving, responsive heart to God. And so, Mom would speak at times words of wisdom to me. I remember I was made an assistant pastor over at Calvary Chapel, Monterey, years ago. And I'd been there doing that for a while. I think I was there 5 or 6 years at Calvary. And my mom went to that church, because I went there, and she went there, and she came up and told me one day, she says, you know, son, I don't like what's happening in your life. I said, what do you mean? She says, well, you're not you. You're trying to be like the pastor. And I don't like what God's doing. It's not God. She would say, God, I don't like what's going on in you. And you know what? She was just dead right. Just nailed it. Because we make a poor somebody else. He didn't create me to be Bill. He created me to be dumb. Now, only a mom's got the whatever to look you in the eye and tell you the truth. You know? And that's what I needed to hear. And Mom can do it with love. Because she wants the best for you and you know it. But I don't want to leave grandmas out either. Grandmas are right in there. Mother-in-laws, I've gotten some good stuff from them. I remember as a little kid, my grandma went to work about midnight, and she was a cook at Memorial Hospital. And she'd take me down there at times, other times she wouldn't. And I stayed with her a lot, so I was just a little guy. In fact, she'd make me a bed in the dumbwaiters, and I'd sleep in the dumbwaiters, because you weren't supposed to have little kids down there in the kitchen. And she'd take me anyway. But she worked from 12 to 5. And she'd wake me up when she got home. And she always had a box of ice cream for me. And she'd wake me up 5 in the morning, and I had to eat that box of ice cream that she had gotten for me. But I remember she did something else. She'd always pull back the covers, because I slept with Grandma, little guy. So she'd pull back the covers and she'd look at my feet to make sure they were clean, because I, played all day and I didn't like to take baths or anything like that. So she'd look, and if I were dirty, she'd get a towel out, she'd wash those feet. Oh, Grandma, leave me alone. But she'd wash those feet and feed me that ice cream. I sat right there as they were doing worship today, and that's what came to my mind. I just started crying. That was Grandma. And Grandma knew Jesus, and she showed that love. That love that a mama and a grandma and a mother-in-law can share. And it just, nobody can do it like they can. God's gifted them that way. God's filled them with love, and it just overflows to others. I remember once I either took the girlfriend over or I showed her the picture. But Grandma I think she was making some navy beans at the time with those ham hock things in it. And I said, Grandma, look at my new girlfriend. Isn't she pretty? And she just put her head down and she said, pretty is as pretty does. And, I thought about that. Pretty is as pretty does. What in the world does that mean? Well, it means, let's see the fruit. Let's see your life. It's one thing to be pretty on the outside, but let's see what's going on the inside. That's what Grandma was trying to say to me. And I want to peek over to Proverbs 31. And I love Mother's Day. One of the reasons is not only do we honor those godly women in our life, but I get to go to Proverbs 31. I love this passage. And I want to start in Proverbs 31, verse 10. And you might know that Proverbs is talking about a godly, noble wife who is a godly, noble mother. And it's believed that this individual, this king that's being spoken of is Solomon. And you remember that Solomon's mother was Bathsheba. The Proverbs 31 woman may very likely be Bathsheba, which speaks to the amazing grace of God. So, it says in verse 10, a wife, a mother, of noble character, who can find? Now, when he talks about noble, I looked this word up. It means virtuous, moral excellence, valor or bravery. It means valuable, worth something, and it means strength of character. And we know that comes from a reverence for the Lord. And so he's saying here, a wife and a mother of noble character. He says, who can find? I want to ask another question. Who is looking for one? In the world today, who is looking for a wife of noble character? If you were to ask somebody, well, when you choose a wife, what are you looking for? What do you think most of them would say? Well, I'm looking for a wife of noble character. They should be, right? I don't know that that's what they would answer. You can figure that one out on your own. But someone who is wise would say that. I'm looking for a wife that has moral excellence. That is a person who reveres the Lord. A person who is kind and compassionate, giving and generous. But he asked that question, who can find? In other words, it was a rarity. To be able to find, in his day, it was a rarity to be able to find this kind of a woman. And then he said, she is worth far more than rubies. In other words, she is such a great treasure that you can't even put a number, a price on her. That's how valuable she is. And as you live with your wife, the mother of your children, and you're staying close to the Lord, you begin to see in her the fruit of God's Spirit living in her. And you begin to cherish her more and more as the years go on. And it may be for reasons that it would have never come into your mind when you first met her. When I first met my wife, first thing I thought of is she's beautiful, drop dead gorgeous, prettiest girl I ever seen. I want to make her my girlfriend. I didn't say wife at that time. That wouldn't be till 8 years later because I got saved and she got saved. But that was on my mind. But I love to see my wife when she's happy, when she's smiling and laughing. She's got a great sense of humor. You folks that haven't maybe spent a lot of time with her, she's got a great sense of humor. She's fun. Makes me laugh. See, it's a different thing, you know. And then you begin to think, you know, I don't know what I would do. I don't even know if I'd be able to survive. Literally, I can't work the computer. I can't send an email. I don't know how to do text. I can't do any of that. Let alone wash my clothes. I won't do that either. I'm not real good at cleaning toilet bowls. Wife of noble character, who can find? She's worth far more than rubies. And her husband has full confidence in her. And he lacks nothing of value. And she brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. What price would you put on that? And then from verses 13 through 18, it's going to talk about her business acumen. She's involved in business. She's got a good mind for making money and helping the family. And it says she selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. And she gets up while it is still dark, and she provides food for her family and portions for her servant girls. She considers a field, and she buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. And so, from the moment her feet hit the ground to when she goes to bed, she's active and she's busy. She's a busy bee, and she's involved in doing things that help the family. She cares for the family. She's putting others' needs before her own. Now, for me, I've got a little agenda or a pattern. How about you guys? Are you that way? I got this thing that this is what I do. Okay? This is what I do. Period. This is me, and I'm boom, 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 boom. And I do those things. And then I can be around somebody. But she's busy looking out for me and for Molly and for other family members and friends. And she's got everybody's birthday, you know, in little racks and stuff, you know, so she can remember to send them something. And me, I think, you know, well, I pray for them, you know. That's part of my boo. But mothers are that way. And they're doing stuff, you know, they're doing the books, or they're making deposits, or they're following up on something having to do with the home, or their grocery list, or maybe they got to patch this up, or they want a new thing over here, and I look at that, and it looks pretty good to me. It's not, it's run down, you know, it's got a hole in it, and you got to replace it. What's wrong with it, you know? And then she knows where she's going to go. And she's got this shopping list. I got to go here, I got to go here, and then back there, and she's got all those lists. And she's working full time. And then so she figures these out. I'm going to do Saturday, and this is what I'm going to do Sunday. Mothers are like that because they're taking care of other people. Verse 19. It says, in her hand she holds the distaff or stick and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She's spinning without the use of a wheel, like a sewing machine kind of thing. So she opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. Opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. I think of our sister Jerry, and I think of Maddie, and I think about others that kind of set the tone and take the point in these areas. But caring about those that are less fortunate and being generous to those that are in need. And when it snows, she has no fear for her household life because she's already planned for. And it says, for all of them are clothed in scarlet, something she's made for them. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. She cares about her own appearance. And her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. So her husband is respected and honored, and one of the reasons is because of the wife that he had, the mother of his children, and the respect and honor that she displays. And so, verse 24, she makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She's helping out the family with additional income. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. And she's clothed with strength, and it's a strength that comes from the grace of God. Because she's a noble woman. That's a woman that is strengthened because of her reverence for God. And so she's clothed with strength and dignity. She has character. And because she has character and this noble quality about her, I know something about her. This is what I know. She's gone through some stuff in her life. Because tribulation worketh perseverance, and perseverance character. And James says, consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you fall into trials of many kinds, because you know something. That these trials worketh perseverance, and perseverance character. See, you've gone through something in your life. If you haven't gone through something, you don't have anything to share yet. And I think about the mothers that have buried children. I don't know that there's a harder thing to do for a mom. But they've done that. And they can minister to others that go through it. My mother-in-law went through that. She buried a little baby. His name was Scott. Which happens to be mine. I don't think that's a mistake. Do you? She's clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue because she's speaking from the wisdom that comes from above. That's pure, good, sound. We can count on it. And she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. She's not lazy. And her children arise, and they call her blessed, and her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Whenever I read this, I can't help sharing this little thing. If you've heard it before, bear with me. How many here used to watch the Jackie Gleason show? Anybody remember him? He always used to have this thing that he did. Whenever he did something wrong, he'd be convicted of it. He felt sorry, and he'd put his head down as his baby. You know, there's a lot of women that, you're the best. You know? And that's what I remember when I read that. Baby, you're the best. And guys, men, we've been greatly blessed by godly women, by great mothers, awesome mothers, mother-in-laws, and other women that have been in our lives that have shared things with us. And let's remember them. Remember to pray for them if they're still living. Maybe a phone call. Maybe just an arm around them. Just say, you know what? This is what I love about you. I was thinking about my aunts. I've been blessed with godly aunts. And I was thinking in particular about my Aunt Bea and my Aunt Gail. Some of you might know them. But Aunt Bea, she's always calling me, just checking in with me, making sure I'm all right, you know. And I thought, man, she goes out of her way to do that. Hasn't done that since my mom passed away. And my Aunt Gail called me the other day and says, you know, I promised your mom I'd make you some enchiladas. Come on over and get them. Get them a bunch of enchiladas for them. So I've been blessed, man, greatly, by godly women. I just want to say Happy Mother's Day. Do it. You guys go take them out somewhere, buy them some food, or make dinner, or have a barbecue, something. Give them a lot of love. They need it. They got a big job. Amen.